wanted to journal yesterday, but for whatever reason I just wasn't able to. Often it can be like that, where there's the desire or wanting to share and to record, but so just to perhaps talk about yesterday. I managed to cook yesterday using the pressure cooker. I woke up first thing in the morning, and before anything else I sat and I read the instruction manual pretty much from start to finish. It wasn't huge by any means, but it still was a fair amount for me. And then I managed to kind of use my mind to conjure up a time that I could use for the cooking. So I thought I managed to have a clear thought to think, okay, let's cook it for 10 minutes and then see where I am from there. And then I cooked it for a little bit longer, and I managed that way, although I had to draw on a lot of strength to get started on it. So one thing I wanted to share, but I can't remember some of it. I guess the effect is more important than the contents of the story, but had to make a couple of decisions, and I think they were fairly trivial. And I noticed that the part of my mind or the natural part that evaluates, it just wasn't available to me. And I'm not sure if I was with somebody like a family member, but I can't remember who I was with, but the part I was trying to explain it, I think I was trying to explain it. Maybe I'm getting memories mixed up as well, but maybe I didn't explain it. Maybe it was just talking to myself or thinking to myself, but it was just the inability to, like paralysis. Do I do this or do I do that? Or I don't know if I was in a supermarket, or do I buy this or buy that? And there was nothing there. It's like an empty, often something will come to mind thinking, oh, I had this last week, oh, let's have this instead, or oh, this is on a special offer. There will be something that gets you going to sort of rationalize and decide what to buy. But for me, it was complete nothing, and I'm not sure if that's just the condition of my mind or stress, or just what's available to me. I wanted to share about other things as well, but I've noticed that over a short period of time it's easy to forget. Seems as if we've got another heat wave happening here, so I feel a bit more vulnerable to that in in physical ways with the heat, and also mentally with trying to avoid the heat, meaning that I may stay indoors here, and for a smaller space I can feel the impact it has on me to be in a small space for a long time. And I think for the next, where are we today? Monday today, I think. The next 5, 6, possibly 7 days maybe, I think it's going to be very, very hot. So I'm going to try and, for the days I spend alone, I'm going to try and wake up early and get outside early, I think, to get some outdoor time, and possibly in the evenings I can maybe use that to later evenings as an excuse to get out to get some groceries, perhaps during the cooler hours, and maybe the mornings I can just reserve to stay in the park, perhaps, because it's difficult for me to be out in rush hour as well. I find that quite difficult. People streaming, some roads are busier than others, and lots of cars and streaming activity, so maybe it's better if I stay closer, because it's 7 days. Perhaps it's good to think that on some of those days it'd be nice to venture out a bit further and get back sort of late morning when it's beginning to get a bit more of a higher temperature. I went out this morning to get some, actually bought this and another vest, knowing that it will keep me a bit cooler indoors to wear. And I wanted to buy some other t-shirts as well, larger t-shirts, because I just felt uncomfortable with my weight. I'm not sure if it's the tightness of the clothing, but maybe it's both, the tightness a little bit, feeling a bit tight, or the way I look as well, if I maybe be judged, or maybe I just don't like the way to deal with those feelings, so looser clothing would help. And I tried to find a specific type of t-shirt that was sort of one of those ones that people use for exercise, so it dries really quickly and it's really practical when I go for walks, but I couldn't find the ones that I preferred, and I remembered I bought a while ago, I bought 2 sort of bigger size t-shirts, and I'm not sure how comfortable I felt in them, because they felt a bit too big. So there's the problem there of something that maybe feels a bit tight and I feel a bit more self-conscious, and something that's a bit more, it feels uncomfortable because it's big. So just when I went today, I didn't have the energy at all to evaluate different t-shirts. I think, okay, that's something that could work, and also the changing rooms weren't that great. They were kind of on the side of the store, but it was like a very small door, so you could see a lot below, and it just covered like the middle part of the body, and so it felt quite exposed there. So it was a bit stressful to kind of try this on, and even this is a little bit big, but because it's sleeveless, it's not so uncomfortable. And I'm going to just use it to wear at home, so it is a bit long, but I'm not going to be hard on myself to say that I shouldn't have bought it. I find it's just easier to try and just go with the flow sometimes when I buy things, and I actually ordered a tripod, and it was quite a cheap tripod, so it had, as well as the stand at the bottom, it has I can't remember what you called it, something that extends out, that makes it taller. I can't remember similar to what used to be on these old radios with the aerial, and it would extend out. It was, name of that was there, but it's gone. But it turned out that the tripod, the legs were very flimsy, and it wasn't, as far as I'm aware, it's not been designed. Either I'm not doing something correctly with it, or it's not been designed well. So I didn't pay too much for that. But maybe that's sometimes with certain things, certain prices, it's when it isn't not what you expected, then it doesn't come as a huge surprise. But I've left it in the box there, so I'm gonna, if I see some family maybe sometime this week, I may give it to them to say, hey, am I doing this correctly? Can you take a look? So it's not the urge just to not throw it away, maybe throw it away if it's completely useless, or give it away if someone else can make something of it. But that tripod would enable me perhaps to sit in a chair, although sometimes I like recording here, sitting on the floor as well. But if I wanted to record in a chair, it allows me not to have to stack things up like on top of this footstool or the table that this small mini tripod that's on at the moment. Feeling a bit more tired as of late. I've been getting up at either before my alarm or close to it in the last few days, or maybe longer, several days, and also some nights I've been going to bed, like last night. It feels like it's a very narrow gap, that a narrow window to find my bedtime, that either I'd go to bed at a very good time, or slightly earlier than bed, or that would just suddenly slip by, and an hour would go by in a second, and then suddenly so it kind of happened last night. It was past 11, and I was tired, and I don't know what I was doing. So maybe I was watching a podcast, because there's several podcasts on that about UFOs. It's funny because I'm not really big into UFOs, so I seem to be watching this, and they're several connected. There's a person who's worked in Area 51, then there was a journalist around there, and another documentary maker that's also involved. So maybe I was watching something like that, and so what have I done today? So yeah, I left early. It was my intention last night to leave early this morning to look at some t-shirts, and I was kind of brushing my teeth. I didn't shower today. I was kind of brushing my teeth, and it was the morning was creeping on, and I was thinking I just need to get there before it gets too hot outside, and also I was just in the moment thinking, do I really need to go down there? And because going into the city centre, it's really challenging. It's the road that goes down, so one of the main streets that leads all the way down there. It gets very busy there, and it can be claustrophobic. It's a narrow pavement, and so I was brushing my teeth. I was again indecision. Should I go? Should I not go? And often it's sort of waiting for something to come up that will give me some momentum in one direction or the other. And I was trying to be mindful as well of just, okay, there's no decision, a decision can't be made yet. That's just accepting that. And when I got back, I just had a cup of coffee and didn't have any breakfast. I was feeling quite, even though I'm fasting, it feels like I'm putting weight on. My stomach feels really bloated, so perhaps, I don't know, maybe I have it with like oat milk, frothed oat milk, but maybe those are not helping. I don't know, but it can't be too bad. Going off topic here. Yeah, so I had a cup of coffee and watched some more of, I think, the podcast, and then I got a message from a family member asking if they wanted to meet, and I originally wasn't going to because of I was anxious about the temperature outside and how hot it was, and it's where they wanted to meet was a fairly long walk to get there. It's a good 40 minutes or so, and some of it's uphill as well. So, but then they mentioned that they're going to be going away soon. So, and they said it'd be nice to see me. So that seemed to be incentive enough to think, okay, it'd be nice to be there for them, to see them. So it's funny how things work, really. I was kind of getting settled to stay inside for the most of the day, and but it's funny things we do for others sometimes, and there wasn't much anxiety as I walked up there because I knew I was doing it for somebody else, and if that makes sense. And if I was doing it for myself, then I'd probably be anxious about being hot and about, whether I'm wasting my time, that I'm just going to walk back home, not spending much time there. But I find that can sometimes help when you're doing something for somebody else. And when I got there, there was another person there as well, and I felt a little bit stressed. I didn't know this person. It was, and I felt a lot of social anxiety come up. I didn't show it, but I tried to be, again, mindful, and I, just as I joined them at a table at this sort of some outdoor seating in this cafe, they were kind of talking. I didn't really have much to say, and it was just everyday stuff, smiling, laughing, and it was just, all of that was just such a huge strain and effort to kind of try and look interested and be obviously polite and make eye contact and listen to what was being said. And it felt awkward because obviously I didn't have anything to contribute, and they were talking amongst themselves, looking at me sometimes as well, like, bringing me in, and I could just felt as noticing that I wasn't contributing anything to the conversation, and nor did I have the energy to really, and so I wasn't expecting that, so I was just sort of bearing with it, and afterwards, and the person left, it seemed like it was an overlapping visit from me visiting his family member and another person visiting, and it was a lot more relaxed afterwards. It was okay, and then I was just a bit worried about the walk home because I had not eaten anything, and I wasn't too hungry as well. I was a bit hungry towards the end of the visit as I left, but I really didn't want to buy anything. And I'm just concerned about my health and my weight as well, and thought I'd just go back home. And so when I got back in, I was really, so this will be several hours ago from recording this, I was really tired and felt drained, felt a little bit dizzy, and I think I sat just for a couple of minutes just to drink some water and just take a short breather. Then I made sure I got up and made something to eat, and I think with the sort of getting up early or not sleeping in late and having some late nights, those have accumulated, and it's been a habit of feeling really sleepy in a day, which hasn't been happened for a long time. I felt generally tired for years most of the day, but this is where I'm just falling asleep, and maybe it's a good thing that I'm at least getting up, not sleeping in too late, so I haven't fixed the other end or improved that, where I'm getting consistently to bed at an early time or not later than a certain time, but at least I'm waking up sort of not sleeping in, so that's good. Sometimes I have some green tea as a little caffeine boost without having too much of a sharp effect on me. But today was really hot and warm, and I had my windows closed and my curtains drawn to keep it cool, and it made me think of maybe making some sort of cold green tea, or at least room temperature, or maybe I can make it and just let it make it like an hour before I possibly want it, and let it cool to room temperature, then drink it perhaps. Or it made me think of sort of iced green tea, of recipes, different things I could put in it, and put it in the fridge for a little bit of time. Maybe it's not too cold so it affects my sinuses, but maybe it's a slightly cool taste to it, and so maybe I'll look that up at some point. I feel like it's going to be a big struggle for me over the next 4 or 5 days of getting outside. It's my sort of social anxiety is really racketed up. It feels like just being around people. People coming up the street, it's really just tricky negotiating the space, and just going from here to getting out where there's lots of, it can feel like lots of loud noise, people laughing, screaming, talking, and so it can feel like a lot to especially going to the park as well. Maybe in the mornings it'll be quite quiet there, but I feel like in the evenings the park may not be a great place to go. I feel like it'll be really busy there. I went there a couple of nights ago. It wasn't too late actually it's probably the afternoon. Not sure if it was a Friday or Saturday. Maybe a Friday. No, might have been maybe over the weekend. It was just, there's lots of people there, music was going on, and I ended up sitting on a bench just like right in the outskirts of the park almost. I didn't venture any further, and even that was a lot because music was playing, quite close by. And I just walked out of the park and walked the road that goes to the perimeter of it to go to the shops to get what I needed to get. So it feels like I'm jumping around a lot, but what can you do? So after I came back home and had lunch, I can't remember, I think I listened to some more of the podcast. I actually stopped it midway through. I thought one of the ones that was just, I was losing a little bit of interest, and it was getting to some really gory stuff of animals being skinned or something. And I just, I managed to pause it and stop it, and then I ended up just listening to more of the audiobook Silka's Journey, which I just finished. And as it got closer to the end, it was just harder to listen to. I think maybe part of me was losing a bit of interest in, not because of story, it's not compelling, but just my own mood perhaps. It was just getting a bit fatigued, and it was obviously hard to listen to. I was just thinking if it was wise to do that. And there's a third story I've got, I've rented out from the library, audiobook on my phone, that I started but stopped. I thought, maybe I need a bit of a break. And now here I am just managing to record. Again, it'd be nice if I was able to record yesterday, because I felt like there's lots of things bubbling up, and it's probably a good time to record then, to kind of sort of release that stuff, or be able to articulate a bit more accurately what I want to. So I still haven't managed to watch a movie yet, and maybe after this I'll try and put something on, perhaps, if I can. I don't know if there's this distant anxiety about my other channel that I haven't really done any content for. I think I've scheduled some uploads of old stuff I've recorded, but I don't know if there's an anxiety about, after I watch a movie, I have to do like a recap about it. And so I'm wondering, so it feels like I'm sucking out all the enjoyment, or the enjoyment is evaporating, and I'm just left with this shell, and I'm trying to evaluate, okay, is there enough there for me to enjoy, and is it healthy? Would it be good for mental health to record it, or am I just putting myself under pressure? So it's all a bit confusing. Maybe if I'm able to, I'm not sure, just let go of the other channel for the moment. Maybe don't worry, and if it comes up naturally to want to record, to talk about the movie, maybe I can try and do that. Or just, it feels in my head I can't imagine or think clearly about it. I'll have to kind of I can't imagine it. I'll have to probably just follow those steps, perhaps, because talking about it now doesn't bring any, it doesn't help. It feels like it doesn't bring any ease to, because quite often talking about it, sometimes you can get a good idea in your imagination and think, oh yeah, that could work. But right now, with my mind, it just feels like it's not accessible to even imagine. So maybe I can sort of push myself to watch it, and with the intention of not worrying about having to record a review about it. Just let go of that side of things if I'm able to, which is going to be really tricky, but I'm going to try. Perhaps a healthy thing to do, just to enjoy that outlet of watching a movie without any sort of stress or strain. And yeah, again, just try and go with the flow with things. Like, the idea of reviewing movies and other stuff, creating content, is healthy, and the channel's there, but maybe right now it's having a bit more of a negative effect. So maybe I can try and just go with the flow and perhaps let that go for the moment. Talking about letting things go, I've thought about writing, not doing writing today. I just thought about the novel that I'm not finishing, and again, just some thoughts about, is it okay to let go of writing, and just noticing that am I able to fully let it go, and trust, just trust in everything that's happening. And in some ways let go of everything as well, like my podcast as well. Like, I don't, this is probably something too good to talk about. I don't know the balance of, should I let it go until the urge comes up to record a podcast episode, or should I be pushing myself to do a weekly episode? Because it feels like both there isn't a right or wrong to that, because pushing myself to record something, there's benefits to structure and to having a goal and purpose. But right now, where everything's just I don't have any reserves, and it's such a strain, that is it okay to just do that method, to let it go completely and not worry about the importance of doing something regularly and weekly. Am I going to lose listeners by doing that? And so it feels like just having logical thoughts and assessing things is just not available to me. So I can imagine someone making this decision. They would go through like a logical thought process, trains of thought structures, like, mentally kind of brainstorming or mind mapping an idea, and then, okay, yeah, let's do it. But it feels like that's not accessible to me. So I'm kind of almost making the decision blind almost, or very instinctively, and that maybe that's not always a good thing. Perhaps it doesn't always have the information. So maybe I can just sort of try and dial into that now, and maybe part of me telling me is to let go of it and only record when you have the strength and wanting to record. So I'm not kind of worrying about the weekly upload, and what's more important is I'm not putting any more strain onto my mind for health. But it feels like I need validation for that. I need someone to say, yeah, that makes sense. It feels like I want to do the right thing, I guess, which is a complex thing in itself, because it's like a philosophical argument, I guess, with that question. It's like, what's right and what's, so yeah, so it's hard to know what to do, which is a medical person. So I could just speak to a doctor or something, say, do you think it's better for me to let this go and ease up on my mind, and maybe that'll be better for me? And yeah, it's hard to figure it out for myself. But maybe if I go by just bare sort of raw instinct, it's maybe telling me. Even that's unclear, but maybe I can just try and go with what comes up right now, and it's perhaps to let go of the weekly, to maybe let go of the podcast, not give it up, not in the same way as writing, but let it go of when I want to record, because it feels like still recording is there and it's not causing me pain when I do record like writing is. So, but maybe I can just allow an organic time to arise to when I want to record something. Maybe similar to like when I want to watch a movie or when I want to watch an audiobook. There's no measurement there. I need to be watching 2-3 movies a week, or I need to be listening. With those activities, there's no limits on them, or maybe I need to do that with the podcast, treat it as more of a hobby than right now, where maybe I'm putting stress on myself, where it's my life purpose right now, because obviously wouldn't say my life's empty, but let's just say my life's limited right now in scope, so certain activities can take on a bigger importance, be magnified, and maybe I need to take off the magnification, take off the stress and strain off the podcast, and say, okay, let's just treat it as a hobby. Same as I do this really. Well, it's not a hobby, but it feels like I do this when I'm able to do this, and there's no expectation or stress or strain that I should be recording and uploading. There's a measurement to it. I just record when I feel that it's helpful for me to do so, or I want to do it, and then other times that I don't, it's okay. Like maybe with the podcast because of the body of work and the amount of time I've done it for, and also the recent growth in listeners, it feels like there's pressure to keep up with the algorithms of that, and I don't want to let myself down on another thing or fail on something else, and it can sort of drive me crazy a bit in that. Again, trying to assess and evaluate things. Maybe I can try and trust So so the rest of my evening I'm just gonna have dinner soon. I feel a bit hungry. So the batch of lentils I've made, I haven't got anything to freeze a portion of it, but maybe I can finish it off over the next 2 or 3 days. And maybe I can just do that, watch a movie, and then it's probably close to bedtime, if possible, maybe listen to a bit more of the new audiobook. So this one's the third book, I think it's called Three Sisters, I think. Maybe listen to a little bit of that and focus on getting to bed at a good time, to feel like it'd be good to work on sleep right now. Put more of my attention on that. So kind of build up. I think I watched a video where it said it can take months for a routine to to take effect and get beneficial. So maybe there's a bit more importance about the consistency of going to bed and waking up and all of that, and realizing that I need to build up a certain amount of consistency before the body reacts or gets used to it, and before the fruition of sleep comes. So part of me expects to get really good quality sleep after 2-3 nights of going to bed at the same time, when perhaps that's very unrealistic. I'm realizing the coming days may be a bit unpredictable, depending on if some family get in touch with me where I meet up with them potentially, and that's something I find difficult as well, whether to get in touch with myself to think, do I want company now, or am I just doing it just because maybe they want company and I'm doing it for them? That's maybe another conversation, something to talk about another time, but maybe just take care of tonight and then figure out tomorrow perhaps, or maybe later tonight I can have a thought or two about planning out or thinking a little bit about tomorrow. So a movie I'm trying to think of watching tonight, which I've downloaded, because my internet connection's not great on Netflix, so I think with the new setup I've got, it's the tethering's not possible, so I'm actually just doing like a hotspot, and it sometimes can often get interrupted. So I've downloaded on Netflix The Rain Man. No Rain? Is it The Rain Man? I think so. I'm getting movies mixed up here. Some Matt Damon movie when he's really young, so it's got Danny DeVito in it as well, so I think it's something that I'll probably enjoy. One of those kind of dramas, and it's got like a bit more substance to it. It's like character stories. So let's try and watch that tonight, and get a good night's sleep. That'll be something to get to bed at a good time.